Coming up right now, we're going to break down something that might genuinely catch a few people off guard. Because we're talking about potential surprise cuts on the Las Vegas Raiders roster after OTAs. And no, we're not talking about obvious names or bottom of the barrel players who are just camp bodies. We're talking about real candidates, guys that if cut before mandatory minicamp kicks off on June 10th, would have fans across Raider Nation scratching their heads. This isn't about trimming the roster down to 53 in late August. This is about the unexpected, the shocking, the wait, they really let him go type of moves that could shake things up before camp even really gets going. Right now, the Raiders are sitting at 91 players on their off-season roster, and if they're going to add anyone new, and let's be honest, they're always keeping their eyes open, they're going to have to make space. That means somebody has to go. The names we're about to get into, if any of them were released this week, the general reaction would absolutely be surprised. So keep that in mind. This isn't a prediction that they will be cut, but if they are, it's worth asking why. What changed? What's happening behind the scenes that we are not seeing? Let's kick things off with a name that maybe we didn't expect to be in this conversation at all. Darnay Holmes. If the Raiders were to cut him after June 1st, it would save them just over $1 million in cap space. That's a solid number, especially for a player that, let's be honest, hasn't locked down a guaranteed role this offseason. Holmes came into the year as someone many thought would be a key contributor, maybe even a starter in the nickel role. But as OTAs have rolled on, he's been noticeably behind in the rotation. The coaching staff has leaned more on players like Lonnie Johnson Jr., Thomas Harper, even Eric Stokes and Darian Porter in nickel packages. They've been flexible, using multiple safeties in hybrid roles, and Holmes has just not been the guy getting those reps. It's not that Holmes isn't talented. He's got experience, he's played valuable snaps, and he's a decent depth piece. But when a coaching staff starts building a scheme that clearly favors long-rangey athletic defensive backs, the type Pete Carroll made famous, you gotta wonder if Holmes still fits the mold. At 5'10", he just doesn't bring the length that seems to be preferred now in the secondary. And if other guys are stepping up and taking his reps in practice, then despite his resume, he might be one of those surprise cuts that come down to scheme fit more than ability. Another name to watch closely is safety Trey Taylor. Now, this one might hurt for some fans, especially those who followed his college career. Taylor was the 2023 Jim Thorpe Award winner, an honor given to the best defensive back in college football. That's a big-time accolade. But he's also a 7th-round pick and not from the current regime. He was selected by the previous front office, and sometimes, as much as we hate to admit it, that matters when new decision-makers are calling the shots. If the Raiders were to release Taylor, they'd only eat around $39,000 in dead cap while saving over $900,000. And so far in camp, he's clearly behind players like Lonnie Johnson and Thomas Harper, who've both been seeing more time in coverage looks. Now, Taylor still has value. He could absolutely contribute on special teams, and if he sticks around, that might be the path he has to fight for. But the numbers game is real. The safety room is crowded, uncertain, and extremely competitive right now. And while Taylor seems to be a high-character guy, respected, coachable, a strong locker room presence, there's no guarantee that's enough when jobs are on the line, and other players are just ahead of him on the field. Then there's wide receiver Colin Johnson. When the Raiders brought him in earlier this offseason, it was kind of a fun moment for fans. He was billed as one of the tallest receivers in the league, standing at 6'6", and seemed to fit the mold of a red zone threat with size and reach. But now, there's radio silence. He's the one guy among the receivers that, quite frankly, we've heard almost nothing about throughout OTAs. No big plays, no buzz, no standout moments in camp. That's a red flag. And when you got young receivers like Trey Tucker making noise and rookies coming in and turning heads, being invisible is dangerous. Even if Johnson isn't making mistakes, if other guys are showing more flash, more burst, more chemistry with the quarterbacks, that's all it takes to start slipping down the depth chart. At the end of the day, NFL rosters are built on momentum. If you're not trending up, you're fading away. And for Johnson, who hasn't contributed meaningfully over the past couple of seasons, that might be the unfortunate reality. Big target, yes. Good hands, sure. But if you're not producing, none of that matters. Next up, we've got another wide receiver, Kyle Phillips. Now this one gets interesting because Phillips was reportedly one of Chip Kelly's very first recruits back in college, and when the Raiders brought Kelly in, one of the very first moves they made was signing Phillips. So you think there's a connection there, right? That kind of familiarity and loyalty usually gives players an edge. But even with that in play, you've got to ask, what's he done lately? Phillips didn't even play last season. He's known as a solid route runner, sure, and someone who knows the system. But if the Raiders are serious about upside, about building around explosive young talent, then how does a player like Phillips really factor in, especially when guys like Dante Thornton Jr. and Tommy Mellott are standing out? Mellott in particular is making a strong case for a special teams role, and Thornton is flashing playmaking ability that Phillips just hasn't shown recently. And again, this comes back to opportunity cost. Every roster spot is valuable, and if the team sees more upside in a rookie, the connection to Chip Kelly might not be enough to save him. Now let's head to the backfield, where Dylan Laub enters the conversation. The Raiders added Ashton Jeanty in the draft and signed Raheem Mostert, two guys expected to compete for real carries. So where does that leave Laub? His potential value would have likely been on special teams, but even there, it's not a lock. Mellott can contribute in that phase. So can Trey Tucker, and if you're not holding on to the football consistently, something Laub has struggled with in college, it becomes an even bigger problem. Ball security is a non-negotiable for NFL teams, especially for the Raiders under this current regime. It's been emphasized over and over again. Protect the football. Laub's history of fumbles combined with a crowded running back room puts him firmly on the bubble. And unfortunately, he's not the only back in that situation. That brings us to Zamir White, Zeus. Now this one would be a true stunner for some people. White was drafted back in 2022 by the old regime, and he's heading into the final year of his rookie deal. But if Jeanty lives up to the hype and Mostert stays healthy, how much playing time is realistically left for Zeus? He's a powerful runner, no doubt, but he's had his own struggles with ball security. And let's be honest, if you're Zamir White, knowing that this is your last chance to earn another contract in the NFL, do you really want to spend a year sitting on the bench watching younger players get all the work? From his perspective, it might make more sense to ask for a release, try to catch on with another team that has a bigger need, maybe even a better fit. Because if he stays and ends up buried on the depth chart, then the last tape NFL scouts are going to see is from early 2024, and that might not be enough to earn him a deal next year. So while it would absolutely surprise people if the Raiders cut Zamir White before camp, there's a logic to it if it's what's best for both sides. Whether it's initiated by the team or the player, it's not impossible. There's still more names we could get into, and we will. But before we keep rolling, just take a second to think about what this says about the state of the Raiders right now. This isn't just a team looking to fill out a 53-man roster. This is a team shifting direction, building identity, and making it clear that past reputation, draft status, or even coaching connections don't guarantee you anything. If you're not performing, if you're not standing out, you're at risk. And for a lot of these guys, the clock is already ticking. Let's keep this conversation rolling, because we've got more potential surprise cuts on the radar, and the reasoning behind each one continues to reveal just how competitive and cutthroat this Raiders offseason has become. The next player to bring up is one who's not being discussed enough, Sincere McCormick. Now, on paper, he's an interesting piece, explosive in college, solid vision, and a guy who's been grinding to earn a role. But in the grand scheme of things, when you start stacking up this running back room, the numbers just might not be in his favor. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling around the NFL as whispers suggest a seismic shift in the league's defensive landscape. TJ Watt, the star linebacker long synonymous with the Pittsburgh Steelers, might be on the verge of a blockbuster move to the Las Vegas Raiders. According to insiders, negotiations are reportedly heating up, with the Raiders poised to offer Watt a mega contract that could make waves across the league. Watt's tenure in Pittsburgh has been nothing short of legendary, where he established himself as one of the most feared pass rushers in the game. His relentless pursuit and ability to disrupt offenses have made him a cornerstone of the Steelers' defense for years. Yet, the chatter growing louder in NFL circles hints that this storied relationship may soon come to an end. Sources suggest that Watt, eyeing a new challenge and a lucrative deal, is seriously considering jumping ship. Las Vegas, a franchise hungry to bolster its defense and make a serious playoff push, appears ready to roll out the red carpet. The Le'Veon's rumored contract reportedly includes not only a hefty salary, but also incentives that could place Watt among the highest paid defensive players in the league. Such a deal would underscore the Raiders' commitment to building a dominant defense and could signal a new era in Las Vegas football. The Steelers, on the other hand, are reportedly grappling with salary cap constraints and shifting roster priorities. While Watt's impact on the field is undeniable, the financial realities of the NFL often force teams into tough decisions. Could Pittsburgh let go of their star linebacker in order to preserve long-term team flexibility? The possibility is raising eyebrows among fans and analysts alike. If the move materializes, Watt's arrival in Las Vegas would dramatically reshape the AFC West. Pairing him with the Raiders' existing defensive talent could create one of the league's most formidable defensive units, posing a significant challenge to their divisional rivals. For Watt, the change of scenery might offer fresh motivation and a chance to leave an indelible mark on a new franchise. Of course, all this remains in the realm of speculation, with official announcements yet to be made. But as the NFL offseason unfolds, the prospect of TJ Watt leaving the Steelers to join the Raiders is a story gaining momentum. Fans across the league will be watching closely, wondering if this blockbuster signing could redefine the balance of power heading into next season. Stay tuned as this potential blockbuster deal continues to develop, promising intrigue and excitement in the days ahead. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.